Chapter 13 Talk of the Town. Learner's Pick. Do you think that clocks can be read in many ways? Once upon a time, there was a bank whose outside clock was the talk of the town. Clocks usually don't cause people to talk about them unless they are not working right. This clock was not working right at all, so it had all the reasons to attract people's attention. The clock was a digital clock. That means it was the kind of clock with large neon red numbers that glowed both day and night. You could read the clock from an entire block away. The clock sat prominently a few yards above the main doors of a respected bank, right on the corner of a major intersections in town. The clock represented the very center of town and made an important landmark. One day, a few months ago, the time on the clock started slipping backwards a few minutes. At first, this did not cause any alarm. But then the clock's health worsened. Not only did the clock slip back more than a few minutes, sometimes it could actually jump forward an hour or two and then jump back to being a few minutes late. It was clear to everyone in town that this was a sick clock. What do you do with the sick clock? Thought. Take it to the clocknarian. Take it to a cockpital. Visit a clockter? You are right. Healing a sick clock is not an easy thing to do. First, you need to find what's wrong with the clock, and then you need to find a place that sells the particular part that needs replacing. The bank, being a respected bank, was eager to get the clock fixed and start working again. One day, the clock was running about 2 hours late, and a child was in perfect time for the party. The child just thought that he was late because who would ever doubt the time on a public clock? The child then burst into tears. And then there was the whole wedding fiasco last week. A groom, on the way to his wedding ceremony, noticed that he was 2 hours early. So he stopped off at the cyber cafe to do some web surfing. When he showed up to the ceremony 2 hours late, the bride and everyone else were not happy to see him. The straw that broke the camel's back, though, was last week when an army major was traveling through town. Being an army major, he would regularly adjust his wristwatch to make sure it was perfectly on time. When he saw the clock above the bank, he immediately reset his watch 3 hours ahead of time. The next morning, he woke his troops at 3 a.m. to do their regular 6 a.m. 10-mile morning run. The troops were not amused, so they stopped by to pay a friendly visit to the bank manager. "Please repair the clock above the door of your bank," they spoke in unison. Each one of us would want to contribute some amount to get the clock repaired, they added. The bank manager, a generous young man, promised that he would do whatever he could to find a part to repair the clock. Until the clock was repaired, the bank manager decided to switch off its electricity. For 3 weeks, the lights on the clock were off. And then, one day, a UPS truck drove up the bank with a small package. Inside that small package was a very small part that made the clock healthy again. The town breathed a huge sigh of relief when the clock was switched on again. Everyone reset their watches and went their way.